Muhammad Ali, formerly known as Cassius Clay, shocked the world in his debut boxing match against Tony Hudsucker. Who would have thought the Esquire magazine cover that he took 8 years after starting his professional boxing debut would spark conversation some 54 years later? The outrage that magazine cover created reminds me of the outrage that's happening right now with big-time athletes deciding to take their talents to go play for an HBCU instead of going to a Power 5 when it comes to recruiting. Let's get into it right after this. You know it's your favorite coach back at it again. 10 toes down, about to tell you how it all went down. This is Tomorrow Leader Sports Network with your host, Coach Walker. If you're new to the channel, please like, share, subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you can get all upcoming videos. For all my leaders out there, welcome back. Y'all know the drill. Y'all know the routine. If you haven't done so already, please like, comment, and share these videos. And tap in a friend or two and tell them to come on in. It's nothing but positive vibes. We're just having a good time talking about HBCU sports. And also, don't forget, you can follow us on all social media platforms. The links are listed where? Down below in the description. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get on in this thing and keep this thing moving right now. Because I know you're like, Coach, what you got brewing over there, bro? Talk to me. Well, I'm going to tell you, being a student athlete at an HBCU, you're going to definitely learn how to be tough. And you're going to be built with a certain metal, especially when you step out those doors and have to deal with all of the chaos going on out here in America as it is today. Because you're going to deal with some things in those HBCU walls that's going to come with struggles. You're going to find your voice. You're going to become determined. You're going to confront fear. You're going to stand for something. You're going to deal with the hate and the pain, and you're going to see progression. Now, Muhammad Ali, he learned very quickly how things were going to change when you go against the grain. Remember, he had to become tougher outside the ring than he was inside the ring. Because when he chose to go against the grain of not going into the armed services, when they was trying to induct him in, yeah, that sparked a lot of chaos because a lot of folks that loved him at that time, they turned on him. Why? Because he didn't go with the flow. And the thing is, we have a lot of athletes out here today who don't go with the flow. And guess what? They deal with the backlashes of people saying, well, why did you choose to do that instead of going to do this? And not understanding that sometimes we got to relax as people and see the fact that this is somebody else's life. It's not up to us to make the decisions of what they should do that we feel is best in our interest, but it's not good in their interest. Understanding that Muhammad Ali had his championship belt stripped from him because he decided that he didn't want to go into the armed services, causing him not to have the ability to make sure that he's able to provide for his family in the manner which he was able to do with him fighting all those fights that he did over the period of time. Now, one thing to keep in mind is this. Look at a lot of the athletes right now who are choosing to go to HBCUs instead of Power 5s. Look at the backlash that they're receiving. Travis Hunter, he received a lot of backlash because of him not wanting to go to Florida State. How they talked about, the education at an HBCU is not anything to compare against a Power 5 school. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. There's a lot of prominent people coming out of HBCU institutions around this country that are doing some remarkable things for you and I on a daily basis. Yeah, their names may not be plastered all over the walls and the world is not, really aware of who they are, but they're out there doing some great things that are beneficial to all of us. African-American students have always had to deal with the chaos of going against the grain. And one thing I remember is the story about our first HBCU, Cheney University, in which it was created back in 1837. Because remember, back during those times, African-Americans were not allowed to be educated. If we were educated, we were being taught by someone else, not sitting in someone's school, or there were schools built for us to go to by us. And guess what? When it came time when people didn't like the fact that we were being educated or they felt like we were beginning to get ahead, guess what ended up happening? Those schools were destroyed. People was hurt and maimed because we were finding a way to get ourselves, in position. And people didn't really want to see that. Kind of like what these athletes are doing now. They're taking back their abilities to say, hey, I want to go deal with folks that look just like me and do the things that I love to do with those same individuals. Not saying that they don't like the individuals that don't look like them. It's just a matter of principle saying, hey, I want to make the choice to do this. I want to see what's happening with this over here. And people don't want to allow that to happen. And one thing I remember is this, the very first, because and then this is the thing, that takes me to even back early on in the early and late 1800s, we were not, like I said, we weren't able to go to school. We weren't able to get educated, but we weren't allowed to play sports either. So when Shady University was created, as I stated in 1837, remember the very first HBCU football game was in 1892 against Biddle College, who is now known as Johnson C. Smith University, and Livingston College was the two teams that played each other. Now, that was a great start for, African Americans to get out there and compete in sports back then. But you already know, we're going to want that bite of the apple to go over here and compete with them. Like, all right, hey, we got ours now. We should be able to go over there and compete with them. It don't work that way. There's people who still say, hey, man, nah, we don't want y'all. Y'all need to go back that way. We're not dealing with that. And even still, a lot of those athletes felt as if, hey, listen, you got a predominantly white team over here. My skills and talents is better than what you got out there on the field. I should be able to come over here and compete. And it wasn't allowed. But it took a game, just one game, for people to see. I'm going to talk about the one game, and then we're going to talk about the game. All right? The game I'm talking about is none other than the University of Alabama versus USC. Everybody knows this story, where you had Bear Bryant take his predominantly all-white team against USC, Coach McKay, his integrated team. The integrated team wore Alabama out 42-21 in Birmingham, Alabama, which was Alabama's home on their home field. Whoop they tail on their home field. Then you come back and say, okay, we got progress. We showed them that, we can collectively come together, work as one, and be successful out there on the field. Yeah, Bear Bryant saw it, because you know what he did after that? He started recruiting African-American players to come to the University of Alabama. So yeah, you saw the progress happening. But now check this out. The game that we talking about, that many people don't speak on, and I'm sure there's a lot of FAMU Rattler fans out there, they know about the game that I'm going to talk about. Between the FAMU Rattlers, all African-American team, against the University of Tampa, all white team. And the crazy part about this game is these two teams played in front of a racially integrated crowd of 45,000, in which the Rattlers beat them 34-28. Now, let me tell you something. Coach Gaither had been trying to get a game of this magnitude for some time, and no one would take on playing the FAMU Rattlers. But there was one coach, Coach Cruz, he said, hey, I'll play you. I'll go ahead and play, because he wasn't from the South. He was from I think he's from Midwest or the North somewhere. He said, cool, I'll go ahead and play. But I'm sure he kind of wished he had not played that game, because his University of Tampa team lost 34-28. But I say all of that to say is this. We already know Coach Gaither was a great coach back during that time, especially when it came to bringing the athletes into the program, coaching them up, having them prepared to compete on a high level. And with all of the things that was going on at that present moment, when it came to the civil rights movement, that was a lot to endure as a coach, to make sure you kept your players focused on what they had to take care of on the field of play. That being Coach Gaither's 202nd win, that was the first time in the state's history, in Florida state's history, that an all-white team played an all-black team. Excuse me. They said, let me say it the way they said it. The first time in state's history, an all-Negro team played an all-white team in state's history. Muhammad Ali, I'm sure, knew him taking a stance in the manner in which he did against the government of not going into the armed services. People were going to begin to take a stance, and they're going to let their voices be heard for something, especially for something that they believed in, and to make sure that people understand that you don't have to take what someone's giving you because they say that's what it's supposed to be. Find a way, make a difference, and continue to keep moving on, showing progression. These are a lot of the things that you learn when you're going to an HBCU. A lot of these student athletes out here that are, possible recruits, they're trying to figure out, okay, which way do I go? And a lot of them may be a little, I'm gonna say timid, and I don't mean no disrespect when I say timid when it comes to making that decision of going to an HBCU, because they don't know. I think some are afraid of what to expect, because a lot of times the bright shiny lights is not what they seem to be. especially now, look at the transfer portal. Look at everything that's happening right now. You're seeing by the droves, you're seeing athletes come in to these different programs now, wanting to become a part of an HBCU program because now they see the value. Before, I don't think many saw the value in what they had in their hands because they thought over there was the best thing smoking. But the value is right here in your hand. Gaither understood the value in that win when he walked off the field and said, it happened. It happened. And understanding this, guys, we talk about sports all the time. And there's a lot of big name athletes out there that want to take that ride and say, hey, I want to go to HBCU. But I feel that there's something that's holding them back or someone that's holding them back. And a lot of times it might be them purse strings, and I respect that as well because you got to do what's best for you and your family. But at the end of the day, understanding this, whether you like it or not, HBCU sports is on the rise. Coach Gaither is definitely lightning in a bottle. We have a lot of coaches that's in the HBCU spectrum right now that are lightning in the bottle. Travis Hunter, lightning in the bottle because he took that chance. Not only did he take that chance because of the coach who was his favorite player being at an HBCU, but he saw the value in the HBCU that he chose. Just because his coach is there, his favorite player who is a coach is at the HBCU, it's still a rough ride if you don't believe in what they have to offer you. Because there's going to come times where you're going to have to face fear, stand up for what you believe, lift your voice. You got to become tough and understand what you're dealing with. Hey, before I get out of here, Cut Day Sports did an interview with me talking about my HBCU, talking about me attending an HBCU. I'm gonna leave that clip as well. Y'all check that video out. Check that video out as well because I'm telling you, there's a lot of things that you can get from that Muhammad Ali cover spread from Esquire magazine. But these are just a few of the things that I saw that kind of caught my eye. Just some HBCU content on that Muhammad Ali cover page. Hey, it's been a rough one. But Coach Simmons, I'm signing out. First, I gave the people what they want, brother. Salute to you. And I'm going. Till next time, be the one and lead.